valuable time to apprise us about the importance of nutrition for anemia. It is very important topic as the anemia can lead to multiple diseases. It will also be my privilege to welcome and thank our worthy principal ma'am, Dr. Sangam Kapoor, who has encouraged and motivated us for this session. Now I will hand over the session to our respected principal ma'am, Dr. Sangam Kapoor, to welcome our keynote speaker, Mrs. Monika Malik. Ma'am.
Thank you, Smriti. Good afternoon, everyone. I am pleased to be with you all today on a day of marked significance, which is being celebrated the world over today, International Women's Day. I wish you all a very happy Women's Day. Women are looked upon as epitomes and ambassadors of goodwill and perseverance, and all that is synonymous with the notions of self-sacrifice. Women in India, in particular, are known to be always keeping family interests over and above their personal well-being. They tend to be casual and careless in maintaining good health, as they remain absorbed in looking after the interests of family members. But it's high time women rise up to look after themselves and keep themselves fit and healthy to meet the challenges of daily life. I congratulate Mrs. Smriti Khera and her team to have arranged such an informative talk on a significant topic of nutrition for anemia, which is going to be very useful for women in particular. I accord warm welcome to today's speaker, Mrs. Monika Malik, renowned nutritionist of international fame. I'm sure all the participants will benefit from her interaction. I wish everyone a very happy Women's Day once again. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to brief about our keynote speaker, Mrs. Monika Malik. Mrs. Monika Malik, nutritionist, has taught nutrition in premier colleges of Haryana as well as in Government Home Science College, Chandigarh. Besides disseminating knowledge and at the same time being ardent learner, Mrs. Malik has organized and participated in various workshops, seminars, and conferences both at national and international levels in the arenas of food and nutrition. She has presented various research papers related to diet, public health, lifestyle, and wellness at national and international podiums such as Argentina, Manchester, Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, to name a few. She has also carried out projects related to anemia, a public health problem among peri-urban children of Chandigarh, which was funded by Department of Science and Technology. She has also co-authored a book, Type 2 Diabetes, Quality of Life and Mode of Medication. Mrs. Malik has supervised more than 40 researches and has various papers and chapters published in nationally and internationally acclaimed journals and books. She is currently practicing as a nutritionist not only for weight loss but also for disease conditions, paving way for holistic healing. Now I will hand over the session to Mrs. Malik to enlighten us. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Dr. Sangam Kapoor, for inviting me to give a lecture on anemia. And I'd like to thank Smriti Khera for giving me this opportunity and choosing me to talk about anemia to the children. In today's time, anemia is a very, very important topic in Indian context because our country suffers from anemia in very grave respect that not only women, even boys and men also suffer from anemia. And this could be taken care of if a little bit of knowledge and information was given to them, and they could help getting out of it and leading a healthy life. So let me begin with my presentation, and I'm going to deal with the nutritional management, how by eating right and what to avoid will help you get out of the anemic condition. So the first slide is iron deficiency anemia occurs in all stages of life, but it is more prevalent in pregnant and young children. Adolescents, especially girls, are vulnerable to iron deficiency. The highest prevalence is in the age group of 12 to 15 years, when the requirement of the body is at its peak. What happens is when the girls attain puberty or the boys suddenly attain puberty, the iron requirement increases. For girls, because of their menstrual cycle beginning, that could lead to increase in blood flow, and every month the blood flow that goes out has to be resynthesized. For that, we require iron, and which, if it is not present in the diet, it can cause anemia. So the different levels of anemia I've given here. The mild anemia is up to 11 grams per deciliter, and moderate is amongst children, it's different, and for adolescents between 8 to 10, and for pregnant women 5 7.99. I would round it off as 8 grams per deciliter would be moderate anemia, and severe anemia is below 5 grams per deciliter amongst children. 8 grams per deciliter is for adolescent girls, and for pregnant women, it's 5 grams. While I was doing this research with Department of Science and Technology, Chandigarh, I found in urban, and we covered children up to the age of 10 years. We found majority of them were suffering from severe anemia, and that came as quite a shock, because they all ate non-vegetarian food. They all owned at least 2 to 3 gadgets in their homes, yet they were suffering from anemia. So there has to be some other cause. So keeping in mind my own personal information that I gathered, I have just constructed this presentation. I'll take it from here. So what are the symptoms? The heartache, the feeling of low. All the time someone starts feeling that I don't have energy, I'm not feeling okay. Feeling of unwellness, dry skin. A lot of people have very dry skin without any cause, and they do not understand it could be due to iron deficiency anemia. Drowsiness. Some people get up tired in the morning. They are not fresh when they wake up after 8 to 10 hours of sleep. They are still not fresh, and that could be due to anemia. Then the skin color. If the person is suffering from anemia, the skin is going to be slightly paler in color. Sudden chipping of nails, very frequent chipping of nails. Now that I'm practicing here, even people who come from a well-off background often complained of nail chipping and hair fall. Now that is another very common symptom of anemia, which people tend to overlook. Then cracked lips. I'm sure all of us have suffered from that problem sometime in our life. That is very important to notice, that could be also due to iron deficiency anemia. Weakness and fatigue. A lot of people have this problem that they do a little bit of household chores and then they start feeling tired. They're feeling exhausted. And there's another term which has been coined called chronic fatigue syndrome, which also, in that also, we often ask the patient about the iron levels, hemoglobin levels. So that is another. And the flies before the eyes. Suddenly you feel that you're not feeling very okay, and you feel so exhausted that you see images in front of your eyes. That could also be due to iron deficiency anemia. These are to name a few, but having said that, a lot of people wake up late, slow starter for the day. And for today, in today's time, when people have to meet deadlines, these things are a very easy and common symptoms that one should address as soon as one gets aware of them. What are the causes of anemia? Poverty. If you have lack of food, obviously there is going to be no nutrient going into your body. Ignorance is the main cause. We're going to talk about ignorance at length later on in the slide. And then lack of knowledge, ignorance, these two go hand in hand. Then lack of nutritious food. If you are not aware, and like I just told you that the children, they came from a family where the non-vegetarian food was served at least 3 times a week, and yet they were anemic. That goes to say that they were eating food. They were not they didn't belong to very poor families, yet they had no knowledge about the nutrition in the food. Poor absorption of the food, we're going to talk about that a little later. Now, bioavailability is very, very vital. Now, bioavailability is the word, can be described as if you eat high iron rich food, and yet if it is not absorbed by the body, that means it has low bioavailability. So it has to be, if you're eating a nutrient, if it is not absorbed, it is low bioavailability. Then multiple pregnancies, which is very common. Food fads is another very common practice amongst Indians, especially. We have lots of things that ye nahi khana, iske saath ye nahi khana, you can't eat this kind of food with another thing. So the fads and in today's time, the fad diets, they really add fuel to the fire. Then superstition, faulty food habits, repeated infections may also lead to anemia, and worm infestation is a very common thing. So it is advisable, if you feel the person is is anemic, the first step is to first deworm the person and then start step by step forward, so that the absorption takes place and the knowledge is there as to how to go about giving the food. Now we come to the nutritional management, which is very vital. Now, iron and folic acid supplementation can be given. The government has been giving iron and folic acid supplementation, and just before a woman wants to start conceiving, it is very essential to take care of their iron levels and start with the folic acid supplementation. Regular deworming is another very important aspect which should be taken care of for children especially and young adults. Then developing healthy eating habits. That one should know what one should eat. You shouldn't avoid a food just because of superstition or something. This is a cold food, it's not good. This is a warm food, this is not good for me. So keep away from that. And reduce processed foods. In today's time, children just go by the taste. They do not think what is the nutrient present in the food. And like most of the kids want to eat junk food. Now, junk food hardly has, the more processed the food is, the less nutrients it will carry. So keep that. And consumption of iron-rich foods, we're going to talk at length about it. So green amongst the vegetarian, we're going to talk at length. Now, dietary improvement. Now, this is very vital. We all know that heme iron is found in flesh foods, and non-heme iron is found in vegetarian sources. Now, heme iron is absorbed best, and non-heme iron requires some modification for it to be absorbed, because heme iron is present in the form of ferrous, and non-heme iron is present in the form of ferric iron. So ferric is not absorbed by the human body. It has to be converted to ferrous to be able to be absorbed by the human body. Liver is an excellent source of iron. Amongst animal foods, liver is the best source. Absorption of non-heme iron can be enhanced by increasing vitamin C. There you go. So if a person is suffering from acidity and the person starts taking antacid, your iron absorption is not there at all. So please cure your acidity and then work towards it. And any food, green leafy vegetables especially, should contain some amount of vitamin C in the form of maybe tomato or any other form to be able to be absorbed better, the iron content, because that's how the ferric form is converted into the ferrous form. And consuming sprouts increases the because sprouts, once you start sprouting the legume, it increases the vitamin C content and it increases the digestibility of that food and protein and vitamin C, and hence increases the bioavailability of iron and B complex, of course. And incorporate green leafy vegetables. I just mentioned that whenever you're consuming, even if you're consuming green vegetables in raw form, please squeeze a lemon. It is very essential to add that bit of vitamin C so that the absorption of iron is there. Then fortification has supplementation and fortification. These days, a lot of supplementation for fortification is being done. Fortification with iron has been successfully tried on wheat flour. It was done by a company called Micronutrient Initiatives, and it was very successfully done in West Bengal, and Darjeeling area especially. Wheat flour, rice, milk, fish sauce, and curry powders. And fortification of wheat has 12 milligrams of iron per 200 grams of wheat flour and 300 micrograms of folic acid per 200 gram of wheat flour, which is available. But again, this fortification has to, one must read the labels before you buy it. Fortification of rice with iron, ultra rice through midday meal programs can be considered as a strategy to prevent iron deficiency anemia amongst children. Nutrient interaction. Now, this is where comes the whole thing. So I have factors that enhance the absorption of iron are vitamin C, which I've discussed. Presence of folic acid is also very important because it is a constituent of hemoglobin. And folic acid is also present in green leafy vegetables. One of the very common folic acid rich foods is curry leaves. So if you could add curry leaves, chop them and add them into your atta, or put it in your rice, or whatever form you can add, you could be very creative with it and could enhance the folic acid content. Then B12. Now, this is very vital, but B12 requires something called intrinsic factor. Now, intrinsic factor is present only in the gut. It is if you're on constant antibiotics, you will not have intrinsic factor. And if you consume B12 in any form, whether supplement or from food, you will not be able to absorb it. Another very important thing about B12 is that it is not present in vegetable sources. So for pure vegetarian, of course, it is present in curd, milk, but non-vegetarian flesh food has B12. Egg yolk has B12, but vegetarian foods do not have. Then lactic acid also aids in absorption of iron. And lactic acid, as all of you know, when you curdle the milk, you get lactic acid. Probiotic is a very important thing. As I mentioned, that you need intrinsic factor in your intestine, and probiotics are the healthy bacteria which are required to maintain good health and absorbability of all the nutrients. So probiotic is curd is one of the homemade curd is one of a very good source of probiotic. There are many. I mean, the kanji that we in northern India we often make is a very good probiotic. Any homemade pickle which does not use vinegar to make it sour is a good probiotic. So probiotic is very important, and protein. Now, hemoglobin has an integral part of protein in it. If you have the iron, folic acid, B12, everything, but if you are low on protein diet, then automatically your hemoglobin will not be formed. Now, hindrances which inhibit absorption of iron. First is phytic acid. Now, phytic acid is present in all the grains and legumes and all the green leafy vegetables. So it is very important to add that vitamin C to lower the phytic acid content. Otherwise, the absorption of iron is not there. So hence you must add vitamin C, as I mentioned to you, palak ka saag, sarson ka saag. Please add tomato in a generous amount so that that phytic acid does not hinder the absorption of iron in the green leafy vegetables. Now, next is oxalates. Oxalates are also present in green leafy and legumes. They also have the similar actions, so one should try to stay away from them. Then tannins. Tea has, especially tea, has very high amount of tannin. Now, tannin and caffeine both hinder the absorption of iron and calcium. In fact, all four that I mentioned are the ones which hinder the absorption of iron and calcium. Now, a lot of people talk about, and especially working women, they have their lunch and then they say, okay, we'll have a cup of tea to get going. Now, that is where you're killing the whole thing. You are making that iron present in your food bioavailability zero. So this is where I call is that some people say, okay, I won't have tea, but I'll have green tea. And, you know, children, when they go out often, they'll have burger or non-vegetarian burger or pizza with whatever, but they add cola to it. They must have a cola drink with it. Now, cola drink also has tannin and therefore, nullifies the iron present in whatever iron is present in that food, and hence makes it not available to the body. Now, these are very vital things. So whenever you're cooking any dal, rajma, legumes, please soak them for 8 hours. In earlier times, we used to soak them and then drain that water and then cook. The digestibility becomes better. Try soaking any legume for 8 to 10 hours. It starts to germinate a bit or swell up. At least it is ready for germination. So hence some bit of vitamin C has already come in, and it has made the iron has made itself bioavailable to your body and gotten rid of anti-nutritional factors that inhibit the absorption of iron in them. Sorry, balanced diet is very important. So 6 to 11 servings of whole grains. Try to abstain from refined carbohydrates. Try to consume whole grains in the form of whichever way. And these days, the new in thing is have millets, jwar, ragi, quinoa bhi kha rahe hain. Different kind of grains are there that one is consuming. So try to keep it as least processed as possible. And consume 3 to 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, at least 3 to 5, which makes it 2 fruits a day and 2 servings of vegetables, which is 1 at lunch, 1 at dinner, or 1 for breakfast and 1 for dinner, whatever way you would like to choose. Now, calcium enriched and fortified fruits, vegetables are 4 to 6 servings, vegetables especially, and at least 1 to 2 servings of green leafy vegetables a day should be there. And to my surprise, we often throw the cauliflower green. Please consume that. That is one of the easiest way to get iron in your diet, and it is a very healthy thing. So please, next time when you go and buy cauliflower, don't throw away the leaves. Bring them, remove the main stem, use the green part of it. It's very essential. Any leaf for that matter, beetroot, soft leaves, radish leaves, all this can be chopped and put in your atta to make roti and carry a chutney with it, green chutney. You've added vitamin C, you've added everything, and the absorption is there. It's the easiest thing to do. Then 2 to 3 servings of proteins have to be there. So whether you take it in the form of milk, curd, or legumes, or non-vegetarian, or egg, 1 egg is 1 serving. 1 katori of dal is 1 serving. So please make sure that you have adequate amount of protein also, and healthy fats, which is very essential. One must consume at least 20 grams of visible fat in a day. Visible fat is the fat that you use for cooking or chapati, smearing your chapati with ghee or butter. All that is visible fat. The invisible fat is the fat that is present in your nuts, present in milk, present in present in your nuts and seeds, and of course, legumes also have some bit of fat. Like soya bean, for that matter, has enough fat, as you all know. And at least 150 minutes of exercise a week, which is WHO's recommendation. And that is approximately 30 minutes of exercise. Exercise doesn't mean walking where you do not raise your heart rate. Exercise means when you're raising your heart rate. And good sleep, 6 to 8 hours, whatever is right for you, so that when you wake up in the morning, you wake up fresh in the morning. And of course, 8 to 12 glasses of water, depending upon the season. That is very vital to maintain good health and get out of any feeling of low, unwell. If you continue having 4 to 6 servings of vegetables, greens, and other vegetables, that can take care of your anemia. Thank you. I made it very short because it had to be finished in half an hour. I don't know how long have I taken.
Thank you so much, Monika ma'am, for being with us today. On the behalf of PGGC family, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to you for coming us and joining us and sparing your time with us and enlightening our students with your knowledge. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us today. Happy Women's Day to all.
Thank you so much.